May the Lord's mercy be shown upon you, Lord's people. When it reaches that first October of any year, people always celebrate Halloween. Not all people, though, in the world. People put on different costumes. They give gifts to children and also to grown-ups. They move around having a different themes, especially themes which have snakes and the funny animals. Christians and non-Christians celebrate Halloween mostly without their knowledge, though some individuals do understand the origin of Halloween. But where did Halloween started from? Where did it start from? People, those who wear Halloween costumes originally, they wanted to ward off the ghosts. They thought putting on those costumes were to scare away demons. This tradition started sometime back in Europe. This festival was for Samhain. The Celtic used to celebrate the god of death. People would light fires around and wear those costumes. Samhain, remember, was a pagan religion. And they used to celebrate Halloween in the evening of that 1st October to the 1st of November to usher in half dark of the year. That is immediately after harvest. During this evening, when they do these celebrations and doing those customs, those traditions, they used to believe that when they do that, they will break a barrier between human beings, physical human beings, and the celestial beings, the demons. To them, they think they are gods. And this thing, when they do these activities, when they break this barrier, they believe that the ancestral spirits will interact with human beings. So they will allow the demons to interact with human beings. The druid spirits, these priests will join celebrants and make sacrifices of cattle. So druid priests and those people celebrating Halloween will join hands and sacrifice cattle, and among other sacrifices. And these offerings were left outside the villages to allow those fairies to come and eat. Fairies are imaginary human beings. They're imaginary people with magical powers. And if you watch cartoons or if you Google fairies, you'll find out most of them, they resemble like our women. So these are spirits which come and interact with people. The Celts will dress like animals, will dress like monsters, believing that when these demons, when these fairies come, they will leave them alone. So they believe that if you don't wear those costumes, you'll be attacked by them. So they used to believe that, but we know that we are protected by the blood of Jesus Christ. We are not protected by the costumes we put on. So these traditions continued for so long, but during the Middle Ages, during the dark ages of the world, people started doing personal bonfires outside their houses, near the farms. And they put on those costumes, believing that those demons will not attack them and their families. So they believe that when you put on those costumes, fairies and witches will not attack you. But after some times, they started carving turnips. They carved turnips and put them near coals, near fire. And they call it jack-o'-lanterns. And they attach with strings and coal. Later, Irish traditions changed from turnips to pumpkins. So they carve pumpkins and put coals. That's why nowadays you will find out that during Halloween, people carve pumpkins. Later, they introduced what they call damp supper. Celebrants will consume food, and during those celebrations, they invite ancestral spirits to join them. So, if you have your great-grandfather, whoever, the ancestral spirits, you invite them to come and join you during this damp supper. And they allow the families to interact with the spirits of the ancestors. During that time, children will dance and entertain the dead, while adults will tell stories to the dead. They update the dead people about how the past year had been. And during that night, they used to leave the doors open. Some may leave the doors open so that they can allow this spirit to come and eat the cakes. But this really disturbed some Christians. And when these Christians try to invite these people in the church, they don't come. But in the 5th century, there is a pope called Pope Bonfas. He attempted to move these people to church. And the Samhain celebrations were moved from 31st October to 2nd May. That is this thing, 2nd May to 13th May, to celebrate All Saints and Martyrs. So, moving it from October to 13th May, then instead of naming it Samhain, it was named All Saints and Martyrs Day. But still, it did not end the celebrations which used to happen on 1st October and 1st November. So when you tell people about All Saints, the martyrs, you still talk about death, because remember, Halloween used to celebrate the god of death. So when you tell people that we are going to pray for the dead, you are going to pray for the martyrs, for the saints, now they associate this day with the dead. But still, even if it used to happen 13th May, on that 1st October and 1st November, they never stopped. But later, in the 9th century, there's a pope called Pope Gregory. He used the same idea of Pope Bonfas, but he removed the date from 13th May back to 31st October and 1st November. But instead of celebrating the god of death, they celebrated All Saints and Martyrs. So the whole month of October, you have to pray for the dead. And 31st October and 1st November, it will be All Saints Day. So All Saints Day is be 1st October, and All Souls Day will be around 2nd. Yeah, All Saints Day, 1st November, 2nd November will be All Souls Day. So still associated with the dead. Now you see the idea where it came from. They were trying to ensure people should not celebrate the god of the dead, but they invited this thing in church so that they can reframe this Samhain day. But still, people never stopped worshipping the god of death on 31st October. So the church decided to settle on 31st October as the day of the martyrs, the day of saints. So people were allowed to go to church and pray for the dead. And 31st of the evening, they call it Holy Evening or Holy Inn. Halloween. Hallow Evening, Holy Evening. And that's how the word Halloween came from. And it remained up to this date. But still, people, apart from the church trying to change this thing, the original idea still remained with people outside there. The devil worshippers, those people maybe who had no idea. Kidnappings of children used to go on. Murderers that time, they go high. And that's why you find that in the month of October, specifically almost those days, there will be more murderers, there will be more kidnappings, especially of children, because they are celebrating the god of death. In the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 21, it is written, "You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons too. You cannot have a part in both the Lord's table and the table of the demons." So these celebrations, you are a Christian, then you say that you are celebrating Halloween. You are participating in the cup of the demons. Then on Sunday or Saturday, you go to church and celebrate the cup of God or angels. That cannot happen. So if you celebrate Halloween, if you put on those costumes, you are not doing the right thing. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you're very innocent. But if you have done that, you have to stop. These gifts given during Halloween, they attract demons. They're not godly. Some understand that it is wrong. Some don't understand. Some are very innocent. You take your children outside there, you give them the costumes, you give them the gifts. Sometimes you are very innocent, but for sure, people perish, God's people perish because of lack of knowledge. But let us not reject the knowledge. Let us not provoke God's jealousy by participating in these celebrations. There was a time in a certain company during Halloween, the evening of that 1st October, this boss of that company invited people to celebrate Halloween. So he instructed all his staff to put on those Halloween costumes, which looked demonic. And the theme of that day, they used to dress like funny animals, some snake statues. One of the men refused. He said he is ready to lose his job than do that. After that evening, they never did anything to that person because they knew what they were doing. So you can stop doing these celebrations. I know majority of people don't understand Halloween, don't understand this thing is demonic, but for sure it is not for people who believe in Messiah. We need to understand that there were some demonic teachings which were introduced to church, trying to reframe those devil worshippers, those pagan worshippers, but it never ended. But let us stop celebrating Halloween. May the Lord have mercy on us.